Almost all American journalism is controlled by a few massive corporations. News Voice is a one-of-a-kind mobile app that tracks the bias and corporate interests that infuse the news stories we consume every day, and it's completely free to use. Go to newsvoice.com/Pakman to download it. Let's talk now about the Rand Paul story I mentioned earlier. Kentucky Republican Senator Rand Paul yesterday went on Fox News and he chose feelings over facts. I thought they were the facts over feelings people. Rand Paul had a very embarrassing day in total yesterday. They had a Senate hearing where Dr. Fauci, Dr. Redfield, and others testified. And Rand Paul sort of scolded Anthony Fauci, telling him, you're not the end all. You're just one opinion. And we got to look at what other countries are doing as well, including Sweden, which we'll talk about. But then Rand Paul went on Fox News in the evening to talk about the new so-called Obamagate scandal. This is a totally fake, trumped up scandal to distract from Donald Trump's incredible failure on coronavirus. And Rand Paul asserts to Martha McCallum that Barack Obama gave direct oversight and guidance on unmasking Donald Trump's former national security advisor, Michael Flynn. The Fox News host, Martha McCallum, asks the right question, which is, do you have evidence of that? And Rand Paul says, I'm not kidding. You're going to see here. I have a strong feeling. He has a feeling, but no facts. Take a look at it.
Trump campaign. I really strongly believe that President Obama gave specific and direct oversight and direct permission for this. Think about it. We have never allowed a secret court to be used against a presidential campaign. Don't you think that was sensitive enough that it went all the way to the very top? So, yeah, the media have treated President Obama with kid gloves. Someone needs to ask him directly, did you approve of Operation Crossfire Hurricane? I think the answer is yes.
So, to put the shoe on the other foot, do you have evidence of that? You say you're sure that the former president was involved in this. Why are you so sure?
Well, we'll find out. I'm hoping that a lot of this will be declassified, but I have a strong feeling that this was such a sensitive subject. He's already admitted through people that worked for him, that the Flynn investigation he knew a lot about.
I strongly believe, I think the answer is yes, but do you have evidence? Well, no, but I have a feeling. This is downright irresponsible for a sitting U.S. senator to be saying. If Rand Paul had a shred of evidence for his claims, he would have provided it by now, but he doesn't have any evidence, so instead he has his feelings. Since when do sitting senators go on television and accuse former presidents of wrongdoing, allegedly criminal wrongdoing, on the basis of feelings? I guess now is the answer to that. So that was Rand Paul choosing feelings over facts on Fox News. Earlier in the day, here is Rand Paul going after Dr. Fauci. Remember that Rand Paul got coronavirus. While he was waiting for his test results, he went to the Senate gym and worked out. Turns out he was positive during that workout. Now he's refusing to wear a mask. And here he is scolding Dr. Fauci during yesterday's Senate hearing.
Much as I respect you, Dr. Fauci, I don't think you're the end all. I don't think you're the one person that gets to make a decision. We can listen to your advice, but there are people on the other side saying there's not going to be a surge and that we can safely open the economy, and the facts will bear this out. But if we keep kids out of school for another year, what's going to happen is the poor and underprivileged kids who don't have a parent that's able to teach them at home are not going to learn for a full year. And I think we ought to look at the Swedish model, and we ought to look at letting our kids get back to school. I think it's a huge mistake if we don't open the schools in the fall. Thank you.
Now, Rand Paul mentions Sweden. Let's talk about Sweden a little bit. Sweden, much like chloroquine, has become a political football. And for me, just like with chloroquine, I have no emotional attachment to Sweden did the right thing or Sweden didn't do the right thing. What happened in Sweden is that older and vulnerable folks isolated and stayed at home. But young people mostly haven't. There's been mild social distancing in bars and restaurants. Schools stayed open. Young people, for the most part, lived close to their normal lives. What do we know so far? Well, so far, Sweden's death rate is the 9th highest in the world. If you eliminate tiny countries like San Marino and Andorra, Sweden's death rate right now is the 6th highest in the world out of more than 180 countries. So what we can say is that so far at this point in the pandemic, Sweden's plan has led to a really high death rate. Now, let's be fair. Does that mean Sweden's plan failed? Not necessarily, because it's possible that because Sweden is doing this and having more a higher death rate now, it could get them more immunity, and potentially, Sweden could end up with lower deaths during wave 2 and wave 3, if there is one. So I just want the truth. If Sweden's plan worked, then great, we should all know it. If it didn't work, then we should all know it. So far, Sweden's death rate is very high. But if they end up with more immunity by the time wave 2 hits, wave 2 could be worse than wave 1, we don't know yet. Sweden may end up in the long term for the total pandemic, they could end up with a lower death rate. We just don't know yet. Now, Dr. Fauci responded. He also doesn't think he's the be all end all. He's just a public health professional. Here's how he handled it.
First of all, Senator Paul, thank you for your comments. I have never made myself out to be the end all and only voice in this. I'm a scientist, a physician, and a public health official. I give advice according to the best scientific evidence. There are a number of other people who come into that and give advice that are more related to the things that you spoke about the need to get the country back open again and economically. I don't give advice about economic things. I don't give advice about anything other than public health. So I wanted to respond to that. The second thing is that you use the word we should be humble about what we don't know. And I think that falls under the fact that we don't know everything about this virus. And we really better be very careful, particularly when it comes to children.
So I think you get the idea. Anthony Fauci not getting rattled by Rand Paul, making him the enemy. I know we talked about this, but what kind of a sick country are we that a doctor who's been doing this for decades and has worked for, I think it's 6 presidents, is now the enemy? Bogus documentaries are being made where Dr. Fauci is the villain. People are attempting to concoct false sexual assault allegations against Dr. Fauci, as I told you about earlier. Crowds at protests are screaming, "Fire Fauci." Yesterday, I did a story about the world is laughing at us. The treatment of health experts by the Trump crowd during this pandemic is a big part of why the world is laughing at us. Absolutely sick. And notice, of course, that Dr. Fauci has now been gone for weeks from any Trump administration press briefing coronavirus task force event. He's still doing interviews. He testified before the Senate, but he has been disappeared, as we talked to you about a couple of weeks ago.